Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. The Dogs, Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama have separated themselves, so it seems, from the rest of college football. That's what Las Vegas thinks, at least. We'll tell you why each team can win the national championship and what is in their way. Stay tuned. Who has the best odds to win it? If you were betting on this, Matt, I'm going to go through this right now. Who gives you the best value, would you say? Now, you've got Clemson at 9-4. They are the favorite. Ohio State is at 4-1. Alabama 9-2, and then Georgia at 7-1. The Gators are at 14-1, which means they've got about half the odds that the Dogs do. So you look at, Clemson has to be. It makes a lot of sense for them to be the betting favorite because their path is the easiest one.
Their path is definitely the easiest one, but I think Ohio State is probably the most complete team. I think this is the year. I think it's going to be really tough to stop them on offense. I know they're losing J.K. Dobbins, but they're a machine. They just pump in more talent, especially on defense. So they're losing a lot, but I think so is Clemson. Travis Etienne coming back for the Tigers the senior year. I don't know who told him to do that, but I thought he had a first round talent, but he's coming back. That's huge. But I think this is Ohio State's year. I think they've got a lot of talent on defense that we're going to see more of this upcoming year. And I think you have to have an elite quarterback in today's college football to win a national championship. And it doesn't get much better than Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. But I think Ohio State is going to come back with a vengeance. I think they're going to be really tough to beat. I just think they're probably the team I would choose today to win the national championship.
So according to the odds makers, they have about a 20% chance to win the national championship. Do you think that's about right, or is that Clemson's at about 30%, and then Alabama at 18%? The Dogs are right on top of not quite 13%.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's, should be higher, saying that I think they're going to win the whole thing. But you have to like Clemson's chances to at least get to the championship. They can skate through that regular season again. They, like Ohio State, they have a lot of young talent on defense. So they do have the easier path. With Alabama, I'm not sure if Mac Jones is really the guy there. They've got Bryce Young coming in, who everyone's raving about, kind of the next Tua type. So we'll see if they have maybe a quarterback controversy at all. And they lost a lot, obviously, on defense, too. So I think Alabama's still going to be that same team they were last year, not super elite, but still very good.
Yeah, but that ain't going to get it done. And that same thing goes for Georgia or Clemson or Ohio State. You've got, in this day and age, there's got to be something that really separates you from the pack. Right now, stop me if you've heard these four teams before: Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia. Those four lately in college football have basically run roughshod over everyone else. Georgia's got 7 losses the last 3 seasons. 2 of them came to Alabama, and 2 of them came to LSU. Alabama, I don't know how many losses they've got lately, but one was to Clemson and one was to LSU. 2 were Clemson lately. So these teams, they have separated themselves from college football, it seems like.
For me, just seeing Trevor and Justin play as high schoolers, I know what those guys can do, and I think they're just incredibly talented. And I think it's going to be tough for either one of those guys to not win it at the end.
Well, shit, they didn't win it this year.
Well, they could this year. They're not going up against a Joe Burrow type. I don't see anyone coming out of nowhere. Maybe it's Jamie Newman. But
maybe I'm not. Maybe it's Mac Wilson.
A lot of people think he could be that guy. What's he, like, third in the Heisman or the
look that up
odds? I think we talked about that, but I just like Ohio State probably more than everyone else right now.
Well, in the Ohio State schedule, it's not bad, but they have a straight up test right off the bat at Oregon. They're playing them week 2, bro. That's a tough game out there.
If they can win that conference with 1 loss, they'll get in. And I think
Yeah,
it'll be
that's
down to
true.
that final two. So they have, Ohio State is able to lose a game and still get in. If Clemson does find a way to slip up and
See,
lose one of these crap games,
I don't think it matters, Matt. I mean, I think that Clemson has got the I think Clemson has the benefit of the doubt from the 2016 season. I mean, like Alabama.
so they've earned it by now. You
I
think
don't
they've
think
earned
they've
it going
earned.
through
I
all
don't
this?
think you earn shit from one
Yeah.
season to the next. But I do think that that's what it is. And I think last season, had they played the way they did at the beginning of the year and then didn't improve, had they lost the game, they would have gotten knocked out because people were figuring out a way to get Oregon in there. But to me, for Clemson, the really only losable game they've got is the Notre Dame game, and Clemson has shown over
I think
time.
it's a home game too.
No, it's up there.
It's up there.
It's a
Okay, okay.
November game in South Bend, Indiana. That's not going to be ideal, but for Clemson, they just I think even if they lose that game, I just don't see how they're not in position to play into the playoff. And it's not hating on them. It just is what it is. I mean, how many games would Georgia have lost these last 3 years that they played in the ACC? How many would Alabama lose? How many would Ohio State lose? Probably maybe 2 for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's how many Clemson's lost. They're just not going to lose. So then you look at Georgia. Then you look at Georgia's situation. I mean, they're the lowest in this foursome at 13%, and Alabama is the second lowest. So that tells you all you need to know is that A, they play each other in the regular season, and then B, the likelihood is that they will play each other in the SEC championship game. So bettors are saying, hey, only one of these teams is getting out of here. What happens if Georgia wins that Alabama game? That doesn't even guarantee them that they get to Atlanta.
Right. Well, it'll show what kind of team Georgia is. That'll be the first kind of. I mean, Virginia will be a test, but that Alabama game is a real early test to see how good. Could this be a national championship caliber team? So you win that, you're riding high for the rest of the year, playing with confidence throughout. But the Florida game is still probably you have to win that one. You can lose to Alabama, you can't lose to Florida,
Right?
And you can't slip up to a Tennessee or an Auburn. I think the schedule is tough. It's a tough schedule. They're not going to skate through it. And if they go through this regular season unscathed without a loss, that would be really, really impressive.
Well, it's asking a lot. I mean, you look at Georgia's 2020 season, and there are games they can lose a lot. I mean, they are all over the schedule. I mean, you look at. I don't think they can lose the opener myself against Virginia, but then straight away in September they can lose to Alabama. They can lose to Auburn and Florida in October. I'm skeptical that they would lose to Tennessee, South Carolina, or Kentucky, but that's a tough stretch, and 2 of those 3 are on the road. So, and they lost South Carolina last year. Them losing to Tech at home, I don't know, but then you also have for the Dogs.
Maybe Alabama again.
Yeah, then you also have someone else again, whether it's someone else. It will be either Alabama, Auburn. I mean, I think Auburn could be better than people realize / think, but they have a challenging slate of games, which includes obviously Auburn, includes Bama and Georgia every single season. Am I going to sound like a total like one of these national sports guys, college football guys, who really don't know what they're talking about when I say that? Should we be watching Texas A&M?
Maybe one day. I mean, that schedule is one of the toughest, I think. They do
But
get the benefit of playing South Carolina over
Right.
in the East, who I don't think they've lost to. But going up against it, like you said, Alabama, LSU, Auburn, and occasionally, who knows if Lane Kiffin can get the Rebels fighting again and maybe upsetting some of these big teams. Mississippi State and Mike Leach, if that works, Texas A&M is in trouble. Those are the games they have to win each year and maybe knock off the big boys if they want to be in consideration. But yeah, I mean, they recruited at a top 10 level. They should be competing. They should be a really, really good team.
Think about this. Think about this, and we're going to get back to the Dogs in a second. But they play North Texas, Colorado, Arkansas, and Abilene Christian in September. They play at Mississippi State and then host Fresno. They shouldn't lose any of those games. And then they host. Excuse me. Then they go to Auburn the week after Auburn goes to Georgia. So this
That's a favorable schedule.
yeah, sets up to where A&M could come into the final 2 weekends of the season with probably the West on the line. But the problem is they got to play at Alabama and LSU. Here's the thing for Georgia: do they get good quality quarterback play, Matt? Do they get running backs exploding through the line again? Do they have an offensive line that's rebuilt and restructured under Matt Luke? Is the defense as good as we think it is? Because it looks pretty damn good. If those things happen, Georgia's going to be in Atlanta and maybe beyond.
I'm expecting Georgia to be in Atlanta. I think they're still better than Florida. They're still better than everyone in the East. But I do think there are question marks. Does the running back group have enough speed? There's a lot of bruisers. Do they have the speed to take it, deep like they used to a few years ago? Obviously, brand new quarterback, brand new offensive coordinator. They're going to have to work hard this spring to get, on the same page. Who is going to step up at receiver, opposite of George Pickens? One of those, they need a solid number two if they want to get this offense clicking. And then you're replacing 4 starters on the offensive line. I think the line should be good. There's a lot of talent there, but that's never ideal to bring in so many guys, especially the 2 tackles. So there's a lot of question marks there. And defensively, they won't be as good statistically because they'll play better quarterbacks. They'll probably give up more points and more rushing touchdowns. I don't think that'll ever happen again. But they had the benefit of playing against a lot of backups and a lot of beat-up teams. So the defense statistically was phenomenal. They might be a better defense total, just playing together overall, but I'm not expecting them to be as statistically good as they were last year. But as a group, there's a chance that they could be even better collectively.
And make sure to click to subscribe right there. And after you do that, we'll go and see you. Make sure to click to subscribe right there. And after you do so, we'll see you over on the website.